And that was that. Case closed. No investigation of the starvation, no punishment, no warnings to prison officials that they must feed prisoners properly.
I was at my son's soccer practice. It was around, I don't know, probably around 6 o'clock in the evening. I was just sitting in a lawn chair watching the kids kick around a soccer ball. I got a group text from my local San Marcos Palestine Solidarity group, which I was active in, and they had a message saying we need to have an emergency meeting for Dr. Alter. And I was baffled. I didn't know why I needed an emergency meeting for me. And then they linked to the post announcing my immediate termination.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to the Struggle Video News. We start with a stunning story that just became public this week that shines a light about the Israeli justice system. Last year, a Palestinian teenager died in an Israeli prison. 17-year-old Walid Ahmed died a year ago in March. His body showed signs of starvation. There was a cause of death hearing before a judge named Ehud Kaplan. In his ruling, he wrote, "The fact that he was likely starved cannot and should not be concealed." But he also wrote, "It is impossible to establish a causal link between his poor physical condition, including being severely underweight, scabies, and infection, and his death." And that was that. Case closed. No investigation of the starvation, no punishment, no warnings to prison officials that they must feed prisoners properly. This is the teenager that Israeli prison officials starved to death. And there is an and Israel has kept Walid Ahmed's body. It is being retained for Israel for a year now, so the youth didn't even get the dignity of a proper burial. It has nothing to do with investigating the outrage against him, but with the Israeli practice of retaining bodies of Palestinians, either to intimidate Palestinians as a whole or to use the bodies as bargaining chips in talks with Hamas and Hezbollah. Last month, the famed Israeli journalist Amira Haas wrote that Israel retains 766 bodies for these purposes. This is the teenager's father holding his picture. Now I want to talk about treason. That's not my word, but a charge made by Paul Krugman, a Nobel Prize-winning economist. He was talking about a highly suspicious trade in oil price futures made literally minutes before President Trump's March 23rd announcement that he would postpone U.S. strikes on Iranian power plants. Krugman wrote, "We have another word for situations in which people with access to confidential information regarding national security, such as plans to bomb or to not bomb another country, exploit that information for profit. That word is treason." Now, it's obvious that when oil prices were going up because of Trump's threats, knowing that the president was going to pull back, is a kind of insider trading. And therefore, a trade of $580 million in 1 minute was corruption by someone knowing what was about to happen, someone from the White House. But Krugman's reasoning goes further in his treason claim. He writes, "Who needs to bribe agents within the government when you can infer the same intelligence from futures markets?" In other words, Iranian government workers could just read publicly available information about oil futures trades and warn their military that an attack was or was not on the way. Krugman claims treason. And Senator Chris Murphy noted in a tweet that someone bought $1.5 billion in S&P stock futures 5 minutes before Trump's announcement. Trump's post sent the stock market much higher, and that stock future bet made someone a small fortune. Will Congress investigate? Last comment. We record on the day after Trump says he is now postponing again attacks on Iranian power plants because Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz. The war now appears to be all about the Hormuz Strait. Let me remind viewers that the U.S. and its Gulf monarchy allies were able to send their ships freely through that Strait of Hormuz until the U.S. and Israeli aggression. They produced the situation where that body of water should be renamed the straitjacket of Hormuz. It may be silent now, but let's not forget for a moment the slogan of the Iranian people: women, a life, freedom. Support the Iranian people and not the regime that strangles it. And now the first part of my interview with a professor from Texas who was fired by his state college for taking part in a socialist conference and discussing out loud socialist strategy ideas. It's March 24th, 2026. I'll be speaking with Dr. Thomas Alter. Dr. Alter was an associate professor of history at Texas State University at San Marcos. Last September, he was fired, supposedly for remarks he made at a socialist conference. He's fighting the dismissal and is currently on a free speech speaking tour and will be coming up to the Northeast in April. He's presently in San Marcos. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here.
So David Finkel in Labor Notes wrote that you were fired on September 10th, 2025 by your university president after you spoke online at a socialist conference where you were flagged by a self-described fascist and reported to the university administration. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
And did the administration call you in and get your side of the story before they fired you?
No, they did not. I was made aware of a complaint, but I was never given an opportunity before I was illegally terminated to give my side of the story at all.
And how did you hear about your dismissal?
I was at my son's soccer practice. It was around, I don't know, probably around 6 o'clock in the evening. I was just sitting in a lawn chair watching the kids kick around a soccer ball. I got a group text from my local San Marcos Palestine Solidarity group, which I was active in, and they had a message saying we need to have an emergency meeting for Dr. Alter. And I was baffled. I didn't know why I needed an emergency meeting for me. And then they linked to the post announcing my immediate termination. So it was a complete shock to me to find out that I had been fired. I was tenured, and usually there's a long process involved to remove
Wait a
someone's tenure.
second. You weren't told yourself? It was posted on what, Twitter or something
It was
like
on
that?
Facebook. It was posted on Facebook and then also on the university's website. So that right there shows it's a clear political act. when you're firing somebody on Facebook, on social media, it's not like oh, this someone did violated some university policy and it's an internal human resources matter. When you post
Mm.
it publicly on Facebook, I mean, you're taking it to a different level. And so, yes, so that's how I found out. I mean, I went home and then found that there was an email that had been sent around shortly after 5 o'clock that notifying me my termination to my personal email because I was cut off completely from my Texas State email. So
Immediately. No.
immediately, yeah. So there was no indication to attempt to reach out to me personally. It's almost like as soon as like the moment that they sent me the email that my firing, they put it on Facebook as well.
So you mentioned tenure. So you had received a tenured position at the university just days before your filing. Let's talk about tenure. Doesn't tenure prevent firings? What is tenure?
Yeah, tenure is a long process to earn. It takes about 6 years. It's meant to provide job security and job security so you can have academic freedom. So you can engage in research, or it applies to the sciences as well, engage in scientific laboratory research or archival research, such as myself as a historian, and to provide you security to maybe explore topics that might be slightly controversial. Um, so it's going to provide free speech and academic freedom, and that's part of encouraging open debate and innovation. That's what universities should be doing, kind of probing the boundaries, testing the limits. My research was just working class Texas history. I mean, not something really controversial whatsoever. It's a 6 year process to earn tenure. At most universities in the humanities, it means publishing a book, that you have a good teaching record, and you're providing service to the university. That service to the university means it's usually kind of like the grunt work. You're serving on curriculum committees, hiring committees, being advisor to student organizations, just kind of the nuts and bolts things that keep universities running. So over a 6 year period, I had published, I had a spotless teaching record, and it provided service to the university. And it's not just your past record, but also giving indications that once you receive tenure, you're not just going to sit on your laurels and do nothing, that you're still going to be engaged in the field of your discipline. In my case, history, which I was continually engaged in history. I was already starting work on my second book, beginning to write it and conduct research on it. And I was very much engaged in providing service to the university. Now, it's not a get out of jail free card. If you have a poor teaching record, you're no longer engaging in your field of your discipline, whether you're English or history or biology, etc. If you've kind of detached yourself from it, then tenure can be removed. But there's a due process involved in removing tenure, and that needs to be followed. You need to present formal charges to the person. And then there's a hearing involved. There's usually faculty input as well. And so this can be quite a long process that sometimes can take a year or longer in order to remove tenure. Not how it happened to myself with just sitting in a lawn chair watching my son's soccer team and then find out through a Facebook post that I've been fired.
All right, so you heard about it through the Facebook, and then you got the email that said you were fired. What was the reason given in that email?
In the email, it said that I was a danger to the health and safety of the university community. And
Oh,
the Facebook post said that I was inciting violence and encouraging criminal activity, um, which
wait,
is,
one second, one
yeah,
second. Forget the Facebook post, but
yeah,
the email, let's just do I guess, formal
yeah, the
email that
formal, yeah.
dismissed you. So it said you were a danger.
I was a
Did it,
danger to the health and safety of the university community
and did it
because of my
explain
comments in
why?
my conference talk.
Oh, it mentioned the conference in the email.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
Because of my conference presentation at the online socialism conference, that I was a danger to the health and safety of the university community.
Wow. Let's go back a little bit, if
Okay.
I can, and ask you about your background. So, where did you grow up, and where were you educated?
I was born in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Um, when I was 12, my family moved to Houston. My parents both decided to become teachers. There was a teaching shortage in Houston, and they were looking for a change. Um, we were in Houston for 5 years, so I spent my teenage years um, going to middle school and high school in Houston. But summer before my senior year of high school, we moved back to Fort Wayne, and so that was slightly jarring. I wasn't too happy about that as a teenager. Um, and due to in-state tuition, I went to Indiana University in Bloomington, where I
Hmm.
majored in history. Um, During that time, I really got turned on to the labor movement that was in the mid 90s. And in central Illinois, in Decatur and Peoria, there were a few strikes and lockouts going on. The United Auto Workers were on strike against Caterpillar. United Rubber Workers, which has since been absorbed by the steel workers, were on strike at Bridgestone Firestone. And you had the A.E. Staley lockout. And also, you had the Detroit newspaper strike in 1995. So I became involved in labor organizations and socialist organizations. Um, did that for a few years, but eventually decided to go back to grad school, and I got my master's at Texas State. Texas State in the history program, it ends with a master's. And so I went to the University of Illinois at Chicago and I received my PhD focusing on U.S. labor history and transnational approaches to it. In particular, I was looking at what became my book, Toward a Cooperative Commonwealth, looks at the evolution and continuity of agrarian radicalism in Texas and how it was influenced by the 1848 German Revolution and the 1910 Mexican Revolution.
Mm.
And due to that scholarship, I was fortunate enough to kind of come home in many ways to San Marcos and earned tenure as a Texas historian at Texas State University. Was very It was kind of stars aligned. Was glad to come back to Texas. My wife's a native Texan, and we were bought a home and we're raising a family here in San Marcos.
All right, for those of us who are ignorant about Texas geography,
Yeah,
where is San Marcos?
yeah. San Marcos is right between Austin and San Antonio. We're about 35 miles south of Austin and 37 miles north of San Antonio. So it's a really great location in the hill country. It's a beautiful area of Texas.
All right, that grounds us. So, what courses did you teach at Texas State University?
Yeah, I taught the both halves of the U.S. history survey. So I had some very large classes teaching the first half of U.S. history, the second half of U.S. history. I was hired as the Texas historian, so I taught a regular undergraduate Texas history survey course. As a labor historian, I also taught a undergraduate labor history class as well as a class on social movements. And also once I had a chance opportunity to teach African American history class. And then at the graduate level, I taught graduate seminars on Texas history and Texas working class and labor history.
Are the professors at the university in a labor union?
Yes, even though Texas is a right to work state, or say right to work for less state,
Yeah.
that we do have a union. It's the Texas State Employees Union, which is represents all employees of the state of Texas, and it's affiliated with the Communication Workers of America nationally. And also we have the American Association of University Professors. I'm a member of both of those unions.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to the event. So at the university last year, were you coming under attack by fascists or white nationalists?
No, myself personally, no. Now, there have been a few incidents in the past on the campus of Texas State. It's a rapidly growing university. It's a majority minority university and a Hispanic serving institution when that was still a designation before the Trump administration did away with it. So, because of the very diverse student population, many of them first generation college students, working class backgrounds, the campus in the past has become the target of attack by white nationalists and fascists. But very much the students themselves would often mobilize and respond to these and basically kind of run the fascist off campus. But myself personally, on these incidents, I was not a focus of those attacks.
So this firing looks like it came as a bolt out of the blue.
Yes, yes. Yeah, there was a self-described fascist who specializes and she thinks in infiltrating socialist conferences. I mean, there's really no infiltration involved. All you get to do is register and show up. It's not like she had some secret spy powers or something at all. She's just showing up and then recording things against the wishes of conference organizers. So this self-described fascist, that's how she describes herself. So I'll give her that. um, she recorded my conference, a talk against the policies of this online conference, and then also recorded a break period session in between the conference sessions. This was a weekend online conference on socialism conference, had a number of different panels on Palestinian liberation, trans liberation, the fight for immigrant rights. My talk was a talk on working class and socialist organizing historically and today. Um, and so what this self-described fascist did was take this break period conversation where someone had recognized me as working at Texas State, asked um, asked me what it was like working there. I answered, and so she took a section of my talk where I was critiquing anarchists, and then she took my break session and edited it together, and then claimed in my capacity as a Texas State professor, I was calling for overthrowing the U.S. government, which is anybody that saw my talk or read the transcript online, which the Texas State University student newspaper, the University Star, published a transcript of my talk. And anyone that's actually read the transcript or viewed my talk online has come to almost the near unanimous conclusion, I guess, except for the Texas State University president, that I was not calling for overthrowing the U.S. government in any way whatsoever.
He'll be up in the Northeast starting April 2nd in Burlington, Vermont, and then the 6th at Western Connecticut State University. Watch our website for more information. And now, Bruce Springsteen singing his great song about Minneapolis at Democracy Now!'s 30th year anniversary celebration.
Bruce Springsteen. On Monday night, he made a surprise appearance at Democracy Now!'s 30th anniversary celebration at the historic Riverside Church to sing his new song, The Streets of Minneapolis.
Happy anniversary, Democracy Now! Happy anniversary. And it's so wonderful to be here. And happy birthday, Patty. We love you. Past winter, federal troops brought death and terror to the streets of Minneapolis. They picked the wrong city. The power and the solidarity of the people of Minneapolis was an inspiration to the entire country. Their strength and their commitment told us that this is still America. And the reactionary nightmare and the invasion of an American city will not stand. Their strength gave us hope, they gave us courage, and for those who gave their lives, Renee Good, mother of three, brutally murdered. Alex Preddy, BA nurse, executed. shot in the back by ICE in the street, left to die. Their bravery, their sacrifice, and their names will not be forgotten. This is Streets of Minneapolis. Through the winter's ice and cold, down Nicollet Avenue, city of flame fought fire and ice, neath an occupier's boots. King Trump's private army from the DHS, guns belted to their coats, came to Minneapolis to enforce the law, or so their story goes. Against smoke and rubber bullets, well, by dawn's early light, citizens stood for justice, their voices ringing through the night. And there were bloody footprints where mercy should have stood. Two dead left to die on snow-filled streets, Alex Pretty and Renee Good. Oh, in Minneapolis, I hear your voice singing through the bloody mist. We'll take our stand for this land and the stranger in our midst. Here in our home, they killed and roamed in the winter of 26. We'll remember the names of those who died on the streets of Minneapolis.
That's our program for today. I'm Stanley Heller for the Struggle Video News.